Hi, friends. Welcome to another awesome week of online learning. Can you guys believe that by the end of this week, on Friday, we will be in the month of May? Wow. You guys have been doing some awesome work. So, just like the last few weeks, your goal is to finish these 3 assignments by Thursday, and then you have Friday as your catch up day. So, we're going to start by learning about the ocean zones. This whole lesson is all about the ocean zones. That's why it's called zoning out. You're going to start with something called a CSI, which stands for color, symbol, and image. So you are going to be reading a poem, and you can actually click right here for me to read it for you. There are some possibly new vocabulary words for you guys. So if you don't know one of the words that's highlighted, you can look down here at the bottom. So you'll read this poem, and then you are going to have to go to File, make a copy, and save it with your name, and then share it with me because you're going to type your answers in here. So what you're going to do is kind of as you're reading, and you'll probably have to go back and read the poem again, you're going to think of these 3 things that really stand out to you. So what color do you think represents the poem? And you can add that color, like you could just type that color, you know, you could say red, or you could insert a shape, maybe, where are my shapes? Or an image that is that color. You can type in the color. So let's say I say that it's red. I can type my text in red to tell me what color we're talking about. For symbol, that is like an emoji. So a symbol is, something that stands for a bigger idea. So like a happy face stands for being happy, right? Or being glad. A peace sign, right? It's a symbol that stands for peace. So you can find an emoji and put it in here, or you can tell me what emoji it is by typing. And then finally, what's an image, which is just a fancy word for a picture that you think represents the poem. So again, you can find an image. You can go to insert an image. You can find it from the internet, or if you have one that's saved on your computer. You can also, if you have trouble finding an image and figuring out how to get it on here, you can tell me what the image would be. So like maybe my image would be, when I want to give you guys away any answers, sailboat on the horizon, right? Either way is totally fine. Just as long as I can tell that you've really thought about this poem, I think the poem is really interesting. All right, after you're finished with your CSI, you are going to start learning about the different zones of the ocean. So there are 3 articles, each one about one of the 3 ocean zones. We have the midnight, the twilight, and the sunlight. You're going to fill in 1 fact for each part of a 3-way Venn diagram. So that one has a little bit more to it than your normal 2-way Venn diagram. But don't worry, I included an example so you can see how the overlapping part of the circle works for each section. So just like for the CSI, you're going to have to go to File and make a copy. So you will click on this 3-way Venn diagram, but you'll want to make sure that you go back and read these articles. Now you'll notice they're about 6 pages long, but the information is only on the first page. So you can see all kinds of pictures, and if you're interested in learning more about the plants and animals, you might need this information, hint, hint, double hint, for your 3rd activity. So you can always come back and do that. So you'll read about these different zones, and then you are going to type, here's the example one, let me show you the real one. You're going to type information into each section. Now, if you don't go to File and make a copy, you won't be able to type in here. So you have to, just like you did for the CSI, File, make a copy. You can copy the entire presentation and then just put your name at the front. And then you'll share it with me. And then you'll be able to edit. Now, if you click inside the box, just like it says right here, if you click inside the box, there's a text box for you. So you can go ahead and start typing. You might have to double click. So click, 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 click. I know some of them are really, really tiny. You can change the font size, and it's okay if it goes outside of the area. So let's look at an example one. So I used a three-way Venn diagram to compare myself, Miss Degliamberto, and Miss Howington. So these outside sections mean that it's something that's only true for that person or that category. So something that's only true for me and not true for Miss D and Miss H is that I have taught 6 different grade levels in 10 years. Now, something that's true for Miss Degliamberto that's not true for Miss Bates or Miss Howington, she is the principal. And then I chose one about Miss Howington that's not true for Miss D and myself, is that Miss Howington has a lot of pets. Now that part you think is pretty similar, right, to a regular two-way Venn diagram. But when you get into these sections in the middle, it gets a little bit trickier, which is why we're doing it. So this section right here in the very middle, where all 3 of the circles overlap, that is something that is true for all 3 of us. So all 3 of us love the students at Johns Creek Elementary, and that is definitely true. Now, if you look right here, this section overlaps Miss Bates and Miss Howington, but Miss Degliamberto's circle, because her circle's right here, her circle does not go into this section. So whatever we write here has to be true for Miss Bates and Miss Howington, but not true for Miss Degliamberto. And so I chose that we are both teachers at Johns Creek, because Miss Degliamberto is not a teacher. All right, and then right here, something that's true for Miss D and Miss Howington is that they both have children. I don't have children yet, so my circle is out of that. And then over here, we have something true for Miss Bates and Miss Degliamberto, and I said that we both live in Forsyth County. Miss Howington lives in Gwinnett County, so that's not true for her. So you are going to take what you learned about the ocean zones, and you're going to type one fact. I mean, if you want to do more than one, go for it. But you need one fact, and I gave you some tips, right? So true for all 3 zones, something that's true for midnight and twilight. You guys are really going to have to think about this. Now, if you get really stuck on one, just message me, and we can also talk about it at our morning meeting. I don't want you to get frustrated, but I really do want you guys to think a lot about it. So you have these articles that you can read, one for each. And once you're finished with that, make sure you've shared it with me. All right, the last activity, even though you have a couple optional ones, the last activity is a Google Slides presentation about the 3 zones, because you guys would have learned a lot by this point. You can add pictures of plants and animals for each of the zones and write some facts. So let me click on the presentation. Now this is different because all 8 of us are working on the same project. So it gives you the directions here again. You want to make sure that you're looking closely and you're not adding the same plant or animal that someone else already put. You can copy and paste the pictures from the articles that you read. So if you go back to the midnight zone, it gives you lots and lots of pictures. So your parents may have to show you how to copy and paste. I have a little tool on my computer called the snipping tool. You might have that too, and it's really interesting. You can just draw a little box around it, and then it copies it for you. That's a pretty cool skill to learn how to do. You could also insert a picture just like you did for your CSI. So you can insert an image. So if you know what you're looking for, let's say that you know that kelp. So you can put a picture of kelp. Now, you may need to, most likely, oh yeah, that's really big. You don't want to leave it like that. You want to make it really small so everybody has a chance to add something into their section. Okay? So I'm not telling you how much you need to add. I think a good goal would be to put at least one thing in every section, but you guys can do as much as you want. If you have a really cool fact that you want to add, you can insert a text box and write that fact, or if you just want to focus on plants and animals. And one thing I want you guys to think about, I'm not going to tell you the answer yet because we're going to talk about it at our morning meeting, but why do you think the space for each zone is different? Why is the midnight zone so much bigger? And in reality, it should be a lot bigger. The sunlight zone should really be like this. But then, how would you fit any pictures in there? So I was pretty generous with the sunlight zone. So we're going to talk about that, but I want you guys to think about it. All right, your optional activities for the week. There's an audio book. I'm kind of bummed I didn't see the book because there aren't going to be pictures, but still an awesome, awesome book but it's the epic book titled The Magic School Bus on the Ocean Floor. So because it's an audiobook, it gives you a pretty good opportunity to picture, to visualize what's happening in the story. So what would the illustrations look like? What would you draw if you were illustrating this book? And then something that is really just for fun, I found a great book on Mayan titled Drawing Ocean Animals. And it gives you know what, I'll show it to you guys. It gives you some really cool tips on how to draw using really easy basic shapes, just like rectangles and circles. Draw. So here we go. If you're interested in drawing and you want to learn how to do that, gives you some really good tips. So like for a sea star, look at this cool sea star. And then the blue is what adds the new information. But I thought, where did I see the shark? I thought the shark was really cool. Ah, where are you? Well, maybe I'm crazy. But look at that, drawing dolphins with just really, really easy shapes. So if you do decide to do something like that, I think it would be awesome for you to share with me. If you have any questions, you can always reach out. I miss you guys. Can't wait to see you at our morning meeting. We're going to start doing a science experiment together every week, as long as I can keep finding them. And of course, we have our Fun Friday coming up. All right. Bye, friends.